That leads us into our surprises for this week. Charean, I can tell that this blends right into your first selection.
Well, yeah, you called me negative last week because I had 3 negative things, so I thought I'd throw at least one positive in here. And it was a surprise, I thought, that they played as well as they did. I thought they would win against the Falcons. I thought it would be close, especially the Falcons coming off the way they played against the Saints. I thought they were ready to challenge the Cowboys a little bit. You remember the game last year, the Falcons should have beaten the Cowboys. Now, we have Dan Quinn's defense going up against Matt Ryan, who's going to win in that battle of schemes, and it obviously ended up being Dan Quinn who got the game ball after the game. But the Cowboys also were playing without left tackle Tyron Smith. They didn't have either one of their edge rushers. So I thought this would be a close game. It was not a close game. Cowboys scored 29 points in the second quarter, the most points they've ever scored in any quarter of any game in their history. So it tells you how bad the Falcons were and how good the Cowboys were. I guess it was just rust with Dak Prescott, and that's all he needed was another week of practice because, to me, Mike, they look like contenders the way they played yesterday.
Absolutely, and with the Packers losing last week, and look, they weren't overpowering yesterday, more on their game in a second. Aaron Rodgers, I know that missing a week may have been a factor, but he wasn't spectacular. There is a way, the Bucs lost. Who knows what the Rams are going to be or not be without Robert Woods. The Cardinals are struggling. I thought the Cowboys were locked in as the 4 seed. They have a chance to climb 3, 2, and I wouldn't give up on the possibility of getting all the way to number 1, especially the way they looked yesterday against a Falcons team that was ascending. So it's going to be fun. Next 2 games over the next 11 days, Chiefs, Raiders, fun times for the Cowboys, and the rating for that Raiders-Cowboys game in the middle spot of Thanksgiving Day is probably going to be through the roof. The Seattle offense threw the floor yesterday, the first shutout in Russell Wilson's tenure with the team. I tweeted that I'm waiting for his agent to provide us with the updated list of the teams to which Russell Wilson will accept a trade. I don't think his agent appreciated that very much, but I don't care. I'm not the one who provided the list of the teams back in March to which Russell Wilson would accept a trade. This is not tracking on a positive path for Russell Wilson wanting to stick around. He has said he wants to be legendary. He wants to be iconic. He's not going to want to be a Seahawk if they can't score a point. And he busted his ass to come back and play more quickly than the average human being would come back. I saw the photo of that finger with the pin crammed vertically down and holding it together in a zigzag incision on the various injuries that he suffered when he hit his hand on Aaron Donald's helmet. Hey, this guy's doing everything he can to be great. And the problem is he doesn't have the talent and the coaching around him that he needs in order to get to where he wants to be. And I think he's going to want to be somewhere else. They're 3-6 now. And I know that they could still make it in the NFC postseason. And they could get hot. I don't want to rule anything out. But right now it's not good, especially when they were 12-4 last year. And that wasn't nearly good enough for Russell Wilson. Right now they're 3-6. This isn't going to end well based on where it's currently going, Charean. And begin, I think, to pay attention to any signals, any signs, and he'll be all in until the season ends. There won't be any cracks. Once the season ends, I think it's going to crumble.
Yeah, and I thought this was a game that they had to win to be in playoff contention. Sitting there at 3-6, it's just really going to be hard. They're not going to have many losses left. And the defense has been playing much better since Russell Wilson went out. And I thought the defense played well enough, especially with Aaron Rodgers coming back off not much practice time since he went out with COVID-19. They played well enough to keep them in this game and give them a chance to win. It was just the offense couldn't do anything to score, to get into the end zone. Even with the weapons they have, it just didn't happen, Mike. And I don't know where this heads, but I have a feeling it's not going to head anywhere good. Even if they make the playoffs, one of the reasons I think that Russell Wilson was upset is they have been 3-5 in the postseason since those back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. They just haven't gotten it done, even when they've had home playoff games. So tons of questions about the future of this franchise and the future of Russell Wilson, especially if Wilson leaves.
All right, next surprise from Charean Williams for Week 10. What do you have?
Well, I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'm going to go back to the negative side of things, Mike. They had a chance here to play for first place in the division. We all knew that was up for grabs coming into this game. You thought they're at home. They've been playing fairly well. They're going to put it together. 82 yards in the first half. And, Bisaccia said today maybe they're trying to do too much on offense. I don't know what was going on, but when you get blown out 41-14 to a team that has struggled to score points, it may mean the end of you as a head coach. A lot of the Raiders writers have pointed out Tony Sparano was interim coach in 2014 after Dennis Allen was fired. They started off 0-10, then went 3-3. Mark Davis really wanted to keep him, really liked him. But you know what? They lost to a bad Rams team 52-0, and he couldn't get over that. So you do wonder if this might have been the end for Rich Bisaccia. I hope not. I love Rich Bisaccia. I hope this team can make the playoffs, maybe even win the division and do something special. But they're going to have to overcome this loss now, and this was a very telling loss because to me, it just like they were overmatched start to finish in this game, Mike.
I know how you feel about Rich Bisaccia, but look, here's the reality. If those emails would have come out back in June when the NFL became familiar with them and Mark Davis would have had to push out John Gruden, then he wouldn't have gotten the job. And frankly, when it was time to make my pick for Sunday night's game and Sims was on the Raiders and plenty of people were on the Raiders, I said, wait a minute. It's Andy Reid versus Rich Bisaccia. I'll take Reid. And it was that simple for me. At some point, Bisaccia settles in. At some point, the Gruden influence evaporates. It's been more than a month now, and I think we're starting to see what it means to not have John Gruden as the coach of the Raiders, and I think this is going to continue. And it was fun to see them win under serious adverse circumstances, but I just don't think that it's going to last, and it's going to crumble, and it may take Mike Mayock with Bisaccia and pretty much everyone else as Mark Davis tries to start over. Next one for me, and this is negative, but it's kind of positive. It's more passive-aggressive, purple purgatory. The Vikings, golf clap, they did not blow their lead to double-digit lead in the second half. All right, Vikings, we know how this movie ends. You blow the lead, and then you try to pull a rabbit out of your butts late in the game. No, they got their 27-17 lead or 27-20 lead in the. So it wasn't double-digit. Was it double-digit? I think it may have been double-digit.
Yes, it was double-digit.
Okay, thank you.
13-3 early, and 27-17 late.
They did not blow it. They held on, and they got the win. On their home game in L.A. There was a time where the Vikings were rumored to be a team that was headed to L.A. just like the Lakers. It looked like it yesterday with all those Vikings fans. And the dream is alive. 9-8 or 8-9. Maybe a playoff berth and a first-round exit. Purple purgatory. The Vikings are alive and well, Charean.
I heard a stat yesterday, Mike, that in some ways amazed me, but they are the only team in the NFL that has had at least a 7-point lead in every game this year. So you think, man, their record should be better than what it is. Maybe they get it together. Maybe this is the start of something special for Minnesota.
Nope. All right, one more for each of us. What do you got?
Movie before.
I've seen it for 50 years.
I'm going to go the Steelers at home, Mike. I mean, you just can't lay that egg against Detroit. I mean, Detroit, winless Detroit, you go in there and you tie. You turn it over twice in overtime. I know Mason Rudolph didn't have much time to prepare it. This is why you're backup quarterback. This is what you're called to do, to be ready when your number's called. I know you found out on Saturday that you were going to be the starting quarterback, but this was not a good performance. I think the Steelers have figured out they're going to need a new guy, a new franchise guy. If they didn't already know that, they know it now. Ben Roethlisberger leaves probably after this year. You're going to have to find a quarterback, Steelers.
Hey, and I said this earlier today on PFT Live. I don't want to pile on Mason Rudolph, but they know who he is. We know who he is. Everyone knows who he is. You got a 39-year-old quarterback with an extensive injury history with the looming possibility of a COVID positive at any time knocking him out, and Mason Rudolph is your plan B? No, there's other options out there. And I don't know whether it's just a situation of Ben Roethlisberger wanting to be the unchallenged alpha in the locker room. But they had Mike Vick there in the past, and all the young players loved Mike Vick. And Roethlisberger wasn't threatened by that, so I don't get it. I don't understand why Mason Rudolph continued to be the backup quarterback for the Steelers when we saw time and again the limitations on his ability to win football games, and we saw it again yesterday. Last one for me, and it's going to be very brief because we got to take a break. We've already talked about it, but it was a surprise. The way the Buccaneers struggled, both sides of the ball. That drive they gave up to end the game, the longest drive of the season. As Mike Golick said today, the 4-minute offense became the 10-minute offense. They went all the way down the field, 19 plays, 10 minutes. The fourth down play, the flat-footed run from shotgun formation when the Buccaneers defense probably was assuming it was going to be some sort of a Taylor Heineke, try to find a guy in the end zone, if all else fails, run it in. That was just a rip-your-heart-out moment, and it makes me wonder whether or not the Buccaneers can recover from it as quickly as they need to if they want to establish themselves as one of the favorites in the NFC.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.